Well, good evening, everyone. As you probably heard me say before, if you've had the honor to attend this like I have for several years now, this is like one of my favorite nights of the year. When you're able to be here around so many patriots, so many Americans that are committed to the very best values that our country has to offer on a special night like tonight with the Travis Manion Foundation, followed by the Army-Navy game. It just doesn't get much better than that. And so I just want to thank all of you for taking time from busy schedules to be here to really celebrate a pretty special evening. But I'd be remiss if I didn't start with a couple comments. Rob, first of all, thank you for remembering President H.W. Bush. I think it's, I had the honor of meeting him and his son. And Miguel, you're out there somewhere, who I know continues to work with the Bush Foundation. Let's give Miguel a shout out over there and all that they continue to do for veterans. I'll tell you a story about that in just a second. But you think of what he represented as being the last president of the, best generation, and the selfless sacrifice, the humility, and the story of him as a 19-year-old Navy pilot, knowing that his plane was shot, seeing the smoke, seeing the fire, and nonetheless putting it into a dive into that radio tower to take it out. And then pulling out, having his two crewmen eject, and him riding it down into the ocean, and him being the only one to survive. And then going on, when he very well could have been having a great life, up in Nantucket or Connecticut, and instead he gave it to his country. And he taught us traits like humility, like giving back, having people work together, and then, of course, his greatest legacy of leaving his family that continued to serve, as a real testament to he and Barbara as leaders in our country. And what an awesome statement that makes. And I think it's just really important for us to remember that tonight. But I also want to start with a few thank yous before I get into our introduction of the Travis Manion Leadership Award for this evening, Community Leadership Award. And the first has to do with Ryan and Tom. I had the good fortune many years ago, and while on one hand it was a very tragic time, on the other, there was no doubt when you saw the determination on the faces of Ryan, Tom, and Janet that they would not let the passing of Travis go without really creating something special to keep his memory alive, and frankly, the memory of all that those have served. And since I've known Ryan since I think she's about 12 years old, and to see the leader that she's become, and I know Tom is a very proud father sitting over there smiling, and to watch her grow and become, someone who's impacting hundreds of thousands of people around our country every year is pretty darn remarkable. And so, Ryan, I just want to give you a big round of applause for all that you've done. And look, it takes a village. So Amy, Krista, Josh, Barbara, all the others that have been involved along the way, you rock. When I see what you do every day to keep this thing going, as all of us know, when you pull out this event, there's a lot of sausage that gets made in the background, and they're the ones that really make it happen. So thank you very much. Without you, we'd never make it. So let's give you a big round of applause as well. And of course, I have to thank Janet. And there's a reason why all of you have that bottle of Basil Hayden on the table tonight. And the story is that I think it was, must have been the mid-90s, late 90s. And we were here for an Army-Navy game, and it was one of those torrential rains when it was pouring. I don't even remember who won or lost that night. We came back to the car at the end of a tailgate, and it was a tradition with us to always pour a bottle of Basil Hayden out, so we kind of did the glasses around with about 12 of us. And of course, there was maybe that much left in the bottle of the Basil Hayden. And I actually remember now, Army won that year. And so Janet was feeling a little bit blue. And so we all got ready to do, like we were going to do a toast to, Army and Navy, great game and everything. And Janet goes, "What do you mean with that shot glass?" She throws it down, she grabs that bottle, and she just tipped that bad boy up and did the entire thing. And I said, "Damn, that's a hell of a Navy mom if she can do something like that." But it's, that's that same spirit that she then used to infuse in here. And I remember the first time that she said, "Well, we're going to have a gala at the Union League." We said, "Janet, what are you smoking? We do the Union League? We're never going to have enough people to fill up the Union League and do it right." She goes, No. We might need 2 of those rooms at the Union League." And look at it tonight, the gala that we have. So let's all give a big round of applause for Janet and her great memory. So look, in addition to tonight, the other thing that I think is pretty special is this event called the Army-Navy game. And just think about it for a moment. Here we are with so many diverse people committed to the very best values that our country has to represent here tonight. Think of the experiences that are in this room that have touched lives that we can't even remember, and have done so many things to enable our country to do what it does, to be followed by a game where the very best of our country get on that field of friendly strife and meet. And just one quick story from last year, we had the opportunity to host Colonel Jack Jacobs, the Medal of Honor winner, in our box. And those that know Jack, and he came from, unfortunately, the same genetic branch of the tree that I did, so I even felt tall around Jack Jacobs. He's only about 5'7", maybe on a good day. And as a young lieutenant, Jack just displayed incredible valor and courage and was awarded the Medal of Honor. And since then has continued to be a great patriot. And as he came into the game, we invited him. He wore, of course, his blue ribbon and sash around his neck. I'll never forget, he came to the box and was talking to people and was very humble, telling a lot of jokes. And he ended up walking to the front of the box. And of course, we were sitting on the Army side. And this was before the game, and there were a number of people out in front of the box. And Jack walked up, and there was this quiet moment when 2, 3, and the next thing you know, about 50 people turned around, put their hand on their heart, and then saluted Jack Jacobs. Where else in America does something like that happen? What other football game, what other event where a true hero is recognized and we demonstrate how much we care about him? And to me, it's that same kind of spirit that game represents. While, of course, I'm an ardent Army fan, there are no losers on Saturday. There's differences in the score, but to think about what they represent for our country and to be able to do this all together, it doesn't get much better than that. So here's to the game on Saturday, and I'm sure the best team will win. So look, we're incredibly proud of the work the Travis Manion Foundation has done and continues to do. From that night when we were doing toasts and Tom and Janet and Ryan and others raised the challenge that we wanted to create the very best VSO, to now, if you look at the hundreds of thousands of people that we impact, it's nothing less than remarkable. But we also realize it's not a competition. It takes partners. We have to work together, because this is far bigger than any one organization, to make sure that we're reaching as many people as we possibly can. And so as part of that, we think it's critical to represent organizations that are making a big difference in veterans' lives and veterans' families' lives around our country. Now, over the past several years, we've been really fortunate to recognize companies like Comcast, the J. Walter Thompson Company, the Carlyle Group, and of course, last year, the Honorable Donald Rumsfeld. And we truly appreciate and thank those organizations as people for what they do each and every day. And we see it as much more than additive effect to make sure we're touching as many people as we possibly can. And this year, we're very honored to recognize the Wounded Warrior Association. And of course, there's nobody better than General Mike Lennington, the current leader of that organization, to recognize him as well. And I've had a chance to get to know Mike, and even tonight we sat down and shared a few stories with his wife, Brenda. And when you think about patriots, there's not many people who have his kind of story, where he was a couple years ahead of me at the academy. His wife was 1 year ahead of me. The two of them met. He had to switch his first assignment around from Fort Ord to Fort Riley. That's a big sacrifice, Mike. Brenda, he really loves you. And 9 months later, they had their son, and then they went on to have a really remarkable career, where he had a chance to work on missions such as POW and MIAs in Washington, D.C., among many other assignments and deployments in Afghanistan and Iraq. You know, a career that truly represents the best of the best. And to then be able to take those kind of capabilities and experiences and bring them to the Wounded Warrior Association, that on its own, again, touches so many people and is making such a difference for our veterans and their families. Well, we're honored that you would take on that role and be here tonight representing a truly great organization. So before I call you up, Mike, why don't we just take a moment and roll a video to see some of the important work that they do.
Since 2003, Wounded Warrior Project has demonstrated its commitment to our veterans and their families through their mission of honoring and empowering wounded warriors.
I had the privilege of serving in uniform as a military officer for 35 years. It was a great honor and a privilege to do that. But the mission I have today as CEO of Wounded Warrior Project is the most important mission I've had in my adult life. I have seen firsthand the impact of Wounded Warrior Project in the lives of those we serve. And I have seen the amazing impact warriors have on each other when brought together by the programs and services we afford.
Together, Wounded Warrior Project and Travis Manion Foundation amplify the impact community-based organizations make as they serve the greatest needs of our nation's service members. Wounded Warrior Project and Travis Manion Foundation have teamed up to build lasting connections between veterans and provide them with opportunities to serve their communities. Our programs give veterans a renewed sense of purpose and a way to use their military leadership and character strengths to make a positive impact right where they live.
Serving with the Wounded Warrior Project and TMF has definitely given me the opportunity to feel that sense of purpose that I haven't felt since getting out of the military. Knowing that I had found this network of people that not only care but had the same desire to make a difference made me feel like I belonged again.
The value of this partnership cannot be overstated. Wounded Warrior Project is a major investor within the veteran community and have taken point on many important issues to help veterans and their families. For their unwavering commitment and great fidelity to our veteran community, we are honored to award Wounded Warrior Project the 2018 Community Leadership Award.